Hey everyone, Marco here and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll show you how to automatically integrate the tasks generated by Fathom, the AI note-taker I use during my client's meeting, directly into your project management app, in my case ClickUp, using make.com. Specifically, I'll walk you through how to send those tasks straight to your ClickUp project list as a subtask under the main task for that meeting. That keeps everything organized and centralized in one place. So, let's dive in. Let's start by taking a look at our ClickUp structure. We have a dedicated space for service delivery, and within that space there's a folder for each client. In this example, we only have one client folder, Acme Tech Solutions Inc. Inside this folder, we have a project list that contains all the project-related tasks, organized with well-defined statuses and stages to ensure smooth project management. Now, within this list, underneath the alignment and review task, I have a subtask called Schedule a Session with the client to review the proposed workflow design. Here's what I want to happen. When the status of the task changes to in progress, I want an automation to send a meeting invite to the client. Then, after the meeting, I'll use the meeting summary that Fathom sends via email to extract the action items it generated. Additionally, our automation will leverage ChatGPT to identify any other relevant tasks. Finally, all these action items and tasks should be automatically added as subtasks beneath the task schedule session with the client to review the proposed workflow design, keeping everything organized and easy to manage. Now let's see how to set this up. To automate this process, we'll start by creating an automation in ClickUp that triggers when a task status changes to in progress. So click on Automate, then select Create Automation, and set the trigger to activate when a task or subtask status changes from to do to in progress. For the action, select Call Webhook to trigger our scenario in make.com. But that's not all. If we leave it like this, the automation will trigger for every task or subtask in the project whenever the status changes to in progress. To avoid this, we need to apply a filter, and the best way to do this is by assigning a unique task type to these tasks. So, right-click on the desired task, select Task Type, and choose Meeting. In ClickUp, creating custom task type is simple, just head to Settings and select Task Types. From there, you can easily add and customize the task types you need. Now, let's recreate the automation with an additional condition. Trigger when the status changes from to do to in progress, and trigger only when the task type is set to Meeting. Finally, add the Call Webhook action and proceed to make.com. In make.com, create a new scenario and add a webhook module. Select Custom Webhook, click Add, name it something like Schedule ClickUp Project Meeting, and hit Save. Copy the webhook URL, return to ClickUp, and paste it into your automation. Finally, click Create to activate it. Now let's test the automation. Go back to make.com, click Run Once to start listening for incoming data. In ClickUp, change the task status to In Progress. And as you can see, the webhook successfully received all the task information. Now, to send a meeting invitation, we need the client's email. Since our client's name matches the folder where the project is stored, we can pull this information from our CRM. So, add a ClickUp module called List All Tasks. Select the account list from your CRM manually. Set the limit of tasks retrieved to whatever you want. I leave it to 10 since I only have 2 records in that list. Click Save. Right-click on the module and select Run this module only to see the retrieved data. You'll now see 2 bundles representing the 2 clients in this example. Next, we need the automation to continue only with the correct client, in this case Acme Tech Solutions Inc. So first we need to bundle all the retrieved tasks using an array aggregator. Aggregate the fields task ID and task name, and click Save. To test this step, I unlink the webhook temporarily and shift the trigger to the ClickUp module. Click Run Once, select Run Anyway, and you'll now see a single bundle containing an array with the task name and task ID for both clients. Now let's reconnect the webhook, and connect another ClickUp module called getAtask. Map the task ID by matching the task name in the array to the client folder name received via the webhook. Click Save, and run the scenario again. This time it should successfully retrieve the client's details. Now, typically you'll want to invite a specific person from the company, often a stakeholder in the project. Since this contact is stored in a relationship field of our client's task, we need to add another ClickUp getAtask module. In the Task ID field, map the contact's task ID from the previous module. And to test this step, manually copy the task ID from the earlier module click Run this module only and paste it in the field. And now you have all the necessary contact details. Finally, let's create the Google Meet invitation. Add the Google Meet module, select your calendar, and set the event name as something like the name of the project, update, and then in square brackets, ID, and the task ID retrieved from the webhook. Adding the task ID here is crucial for the next automation. For the start date, use the task's start date. And for the end date, use the task's due date. Now enable advanced settings and add the contact as an attendee. Click Save, then save the entire scenario, and now click Run once to test the full automation. Return to ClickUp and change the task status from To Do to In Progress. And since I used one of my own emails as the client's address, I can now see the meeting invitation in my inbox. After accepting the invitation, if I check my calendar, the event is successfully scheduled. Alright, now when it's time to join the meeting, Fathom steps in to work its magic. Fathom is your personal AI assistant that records, transcribes, summarizes, and extracts action items, allowing you to stay fully engaged with your client instead of scrambling to take notes. If you'd like to try Fathom, you can access Fathom Premium for free for 1 month by signing up with my affiliate link. You'll find it in the description below. Now, once the meeting ends, Fathom automatically sends a detailed email recap that looks like this. Since I didn't record a demo meeting specifically for this example, I manually forwarded an exact copy of a typical Fathom recap email. These emails are neatly structured, featuring a summary broken into sections along with clearly highlighted action items, all generated by AI. Our goal is to take that information, send it to make.com, and then automatically push those action items into ClickUp. So let's build the automation step by step. Start by creating a new scenario in make.com. Add the Watch Emails trigger from the email module. Connect your email account and select the folder where your recap emails will arrive. I'll choose the inbox for this example. For the criteria, select All Emails. And now, to properly filter for Fathom's recap emails, specify the sender as no-reply@fathom.video and include the word recap in the subject line. Since all Fathom recaps contain these in the subject and are sent from this address, this ensures the automation only processes relevant emails. For this demo though, I'll use the recap email I manually forwarded earlier. In the maximum number of results field, you can define how many emails Make should process in one cycle. This depends on your needs, but for now, let's set it to 20. Click OK, and when prompted, confirm that you want to process all available emails based on the condition we've defined. Alternatively, you can adjust this setting to process only new emails if that better suits your workflow. Click OK again, save the scenario, and test it. As you can see, the module successfully retrieved our email. Next, bundle the emails with an array aggregator module. And use an iterator to process them one by one. Now here's where things get interesting. We'll use ChatGPT to extract the ClickUp task ID associated with the original meeting. To do this, add the Create Completion module from OpenAI. Connect your OpenAI account and select the GPT-4o model for better results. Finally, structure your prompt to instruct ChatGPT to extract the task ID from the email content. Let's start by setting the stage with the system message to establish the context for our conversation. I'll copy and paste the message I've prepared specifically for this purpose. By the way, you can find both scenarios I built in this video linked in the description below. The message says, your objective is to extract the ClickUp task ID from the provided meeting email recap. Next, we will add a user message that represents the query you want the AI to process. The only part you need to modify is the meeting recap placeholder. Simply delete it and replace it with the text content value from the iterator module, which corresponds to the email content. I have a meeting recap document, which contains an ID corresponding to a ClickUp task, summarizes the discussion, and outlines key points. Your task is to extract the ClickUp task ID, so locate the ClickUp task ID in the format ID:ID, extract only the actual ID, the value found between the colon and the square bracket. As output requirements, provide the extracted ClickUp task ID without any additional text or symbols. Then I add another message specifying that I need the output in JSON format, along with an example structure. Your task is to extract the ClickUp task ID from the provided meeting recap and transform it into a JSON output. Follow these instructions. Extract the ClickUp task ID. Locate the ClickUp task ID in the format ID:ID. Extract only the actual ID, the value found between the colon and square bracket, and provide the extracted ID without any additional text or symbols. Then I provide an example input recap and an example output JSON. Lastly, provide the output as raw JSON in the format showed above without using code block formatting. Click Save, and now it's time to parse the JSON output from the ChatGPT module. To do this, add a parse JSON module. Click Add Structure and give it a name. For example, CU task ID. Next, click Generate and insert the JSON structure we used in the ChatGPT module. Click Save, and under the JSON string field, map the result from ChatGPT. Now we will repeat the same process, but this time we will extract the actionable tasks from the email content. Let's start with the system message that says, your objective is to extract the action items from the provided meeting email recap. Focus on identifying specific tasks, assignments, or deliverables mentioned and extract them verbatim, word for word. Ensure that each action item is clearly defined and ready for direct input into a task or project management application. Next, we'll add a user message that says, I have a meeting recap document which summarizes the discussion and outlines key points. Your task is to extract action items. Identify and extract all specific tasks, assignments, or deliverables from the recap. Include only actionable items and ensure they are written verbatim, word for word as stated in the recap. Refine and expand, if needed. If the action items are vague, provide improved versions that are specific, actionable, and ready for use in a task or project management app. Suggest any additional action items that may logically follow from the context of the meeting recap, even if not explicitly stated. Organize for clarity. Group the action items by relevant categories or themes, if appropriate. For example, marketing, product development, outreach. Highlight any priorities or deadlines mentioned or implied. As output requirements, provide a clearly formatted list of action items suitable for direct input into a task management tool. Maintain professionalism and focus on actionable clarity. Then we will add another system message just like we did for the previous ChatGPT module. Your task is to extract action items from the provided meeting recap and transform them into a JSON output. Follow these instructions. Extract and refine. Identify all actionable items from the text, ensuring they are clear, specific, and separated from one another. Include only tasks or deliverables suitable for direct input into a task management system. Output in JSON. Each action item must be a separate entry in the JSON array. Structure each action item with the following field: task, colon, a brief description of the action item. Formatting nodes. Only output the JSON structure. Do not include any additional text, explanation, or formatting symbols. For example, 3 backticks JSON or 3 backticks. These are example of input recap and an example output JSON. Follow this structure to ensure consistency and usability in a task management workflow. Now I'll copy the JSON example from the prompt, as I'll need it for the next module. Click Save, and don't forget to periodically save the scenario to avoid losing progress. Next, we need to parse the JSON output from the ChatGPT module. So add another parse JSON module and name it something like action items. Click Generate, and paste the JSON structure we used in the ChatGPT module. Click Save, and under the JSON string field, insert the result from ChatGPT. Now let's test everything to ensure it's working as expected. So click Run once, and everything appears to be working correctly. From the first parse JSON module, we successfully retrieved the ClickUp task ID. And from the second parse JSON module, we can see each task listed individually, including both the original tasks from the recap email and 2 additional tasks generated by our automation. Now we use an array aggregator to group them together and an iterator to process them one by one. Essentially, it's the same process we used for the email. Finally, let's send these action items to ClickUp as subtasks under the original meeting task. First, add a getAtask module for ClickUp. Map the task ID retrieved from the first parse JSON module, and run this module only to confirm it retrieves the correct task information. Now, to create the new action items as subtasks, add a CreateAtask Advanced ClickUp module. Insert the list ID and the parent task ID. This ensures the new action items are created as subtasks under the original task. For the task name, use the name from the iterator. Click Save. Now save the entire scenario and run a final test. Click Run once, and if everything works correctly, you should now see the new action items appear as subtasks under the task titled Schedule the session with the client to review the proposed workflow design. And there they are, 5 new subtasks successfully created. And that's a wrap. With this automation in place, you now have a powerful system that bridges your meeting nodes, task management, and client communication, all working together seamlessly. And hey, if you want to optimize your workflows, visit my website mindstoneconsulting.net to explore all the services I offer. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Remember, you can follow me on X, Mastodon, and Blue Sky, join my Discord server, and subscribe to my newsletter for more deep dives into productivity, knowledge management, and automation. All the links are below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. In the meantime, stay productive.